Hi, I'm the Recruiting Maven and welcome back to my channel. Today's topic of conversation is a little bit controversial, I have to admit. Are you a recruiter's worst nightmare? Just asking. I know there's two sides to every argument, without a doubt, and I have addressed some of the grievances that a lot of my candidates have had about recruiting, recruiters, recruitment, all of that. However, on the other side of the coin is, I do get candidates who are tremendous, have a tremendous background, whether it's education, experience, a combination of both, and yet they're very, very naughty, very difficult to work with. They have unreasonable demands in terms of, it could just be anything, salary, the extra perks that some of them can get from a job. And, they sort of hold you hostage in and of itself as a recruiter because you don't always have the capacity to negotiate some of those items. You can make suggestions to the client, but ultimately I don't have, the ultimate say in changing the salary range or changing your benefits, whether you're talking about healthcare or you're talking about maybe, a car, privileges, gas card, any of those other perks that go with that. So with that said, one of our other grievances as recruiters about candidates is people who are not transparent about, their actual or ultimate goal in contacting you, having that conversation with you about a job. I had a candidate who just seemed very lovely. She was pretty much a game player, she checked all the bells and whistles in terms of, experience, requirements, soft skills, hard skills, educational background, and at the 11th hour she dropped the other shoe. And that was, she actually wanted an additional $5,000 more. And so at that point, when I've released all the other candidates and I've, now have said, thank you, but, we've decided to move forward with another candidate and made them an offer, and they have accepted, now I can't go back and change that if the hiring manager wants me to. So it puts me in a very difficult position. So, I don't like to be held hostage. I don't know anybody else that would on any level. So, it's difficult to deal with candidates that are at that caliber. There's also a third type that just completely ignore any types of, suggestions that you may have as a recruiter. So maybe it's interviewing tips. Maybe I do know that hiring manager very well, and I know what they like and dislike. So I will sometimes include an email with detailed information about that, maybe a LinkedIn link to that site and to that person's profile page. And I like to have a conversation with a candidate, and they just seem to completely go rogue and talk about anything they want. They get off topic when they're asked questions. They don't know enough maybe about a company. Again, it's just so difficult to represent anyone well and do a good job from my end, which is limited, because ultimately I don't have, the power to hire you. I can make suggestions to that hiring manager, but if you're going rogue and you're just way out there, they're not going to hire you no matter how much, what a great person you are, how much experience and what a great educational background. I think most hiring managers, I can safely say, at least throughout my 7 years in recruitment, will say, I'd rather have somebody that I can, that is willing to be a teammate, that is willing to contribute and not be so much a prima donna that we can't deal with. So those are some of the issues with that. I did make notes, by the way. And then there's the other type, the fourth type. They're constantly, you can't get a hold of them. All of a sudden they've gone to this wonderful interview that they were so excited about. All of a sudden they disappear on you. And they're just kind of dragging their feet, and then, well, I'll call you back, or the phone tag kind of ensues, and you can't, you can't maybe get an update on the resume. Maybe they're not responding to follow-up calls after an interview. So there's so many of those variables, and again, it leads back to, what kind of candidate are you? And I do make notes in the applicant tracking system. So if you decide to, maybe in a year or two from now, to apply, those notes are still going to be there, folks. That's not going to go anywhere. So your behavior, be professional. It helps. It helps me to represent you well, to be able to get you hired, as opposed to, somebody going rogue. So I like to think of myself as a valued partner to you, someone that's going to compliment you, someone that's going to be really your cheerleader, that's going to, try and push through that interview process as quickly as possible and get you as much information as I can. And, we've also spoken about that in some of my other vlogs about the difficulties in communication that can happen. And it's of no fault to anyone. And, sometimes, it's the fault of a hiring manager, a recruiter, or, a candidate. So it just depends on the situation. With that said, I so appreciate your time. Make sure when somebody's calling you, if you don't want to have the conversation, don't answer the phone. If you don't recognize the number, then the chances are that it's either a recruiter or some kind of telemarketer. Don't answer the phone. You don't have to answer the phone. No one says that you have to do that. So I would appreciate if, the amount of rudeness that sometimes comes across from candidates, it's just, it's inappropriate. It's unprofessional. I thank you for your time. I appreciate you liking and sharing my videos, especially to my Facebook followers. I so appreciate you doing that. I'm always happy to help you with your career, with career advice and resume writing that I also provide. If you want to follow and you need those services, do follow me on my Facebook account, which is linked in the description box below. We will be continuing discussing things in relation to the fourth industrial revolution and how that's going to affect your career. So if you want more information that is not being provided by the media sites right now, definitely stay tuned. So subscribe and make sure you hit that little notification bell so that you do get notified every time I upload. Hopefully you're having a wonderful day. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you again real soon.